Okay. So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged that the files were written and that there is something there. He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released. Whoa, what? By admitting that the Epstein files are real and have been written and that you've read them and you don't like their contents and they were written by your enemies, doesn't make the most compelling case as far as I'm concerned. Holy moly.
President Donald Trump told his supporters to stop caring about the Epstein files. As you can tell, that strategy, not too successful, not yet. A lot more MAGA fury where that came from. As we mentioned, there are many more conservatives who were very unhappy with President Trump's response. Watch this clip.
We go to Travis in South Dakota. Hello, Travis.
Hi, Glenn. Hi, Jason. I tell you what, guys, I feel really betrayed and I feel really, really angry. We have a president who tells us to move on from Epstein because it doesn't matter. Are you guys still talking about this? Seriously? And yet he still talks about the 2020 election fraud.
I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after all these years of us right-wingers saying, protect the children, come on, that's bad for your soul if you don't. You speak up about that. It's horrible what he's doing.
We went from, I've got thousands of hours of footage, to there ain't no files, we ain't seen nothing. There's no list, I don't know.
I'm getting sick and tired of being lied to. I'm being sick and tired of all the lies. And by the way, I don't care if those lies are coming from someone with a D next to their name or someone with an R next to their name. I'm sick of the lies and I'm calling you all out.
All right, so a lot of passionate voices there. At least Fox News, that's gotta be a safe spot for the president, right? No, Fox News hosts also chimed in criticizing Donald Trump. Watch.
If there's anybody who could walk in and say, okay, we've resolved all of the questions and there is nothing here, it would be President Trump and his crew. The problem is you can't really do it without giving some explanation, and there has to be some explanation, and I think that's why you have a lot of people still pretty, with a lot of very valid questions about it.
You absolutely nailed it. You can defuse this ticking time bomb if you simply get out there. You can't tell me that 1,000 people were hurt and that there are no people out there that we can arrest. You can't tell me that, oh, sorry, we don't have a list. Fine, don't have a list. Tell me who the perpetrators were.
It's obvious that this is a huge PR disaster for the Trump administration. There's no way for them to spin their way out of this. I think the Epstein issue had, for a lot of MAGA types, became a proxy for whether this DOJ was going to live up to their very high expectations. And obviously, Bondi, Bongino, Patel, everyone involved in this sort of failed on that.
Whether or not this was a cover-up, now there's almost like a cover-up of a cover-up going on. And Pam Bondi and others are insulting the intelligence of their base.
More outrage on X. Megyn Kelly weighing in. There are really only two options. There's no huge undisclosed there on Epstein. Bondi misled on it until she didn't. And Trump is quick to forgive a loyal soldier for being desperate to get on TV. Or, number two, there is a scandal that's being covered up and it's at his direction. Patrick Bet-David stated this in regards to Epstein. Either stop bringing up why many are annoyed with the Epstein cover-up and take the L, or tell your base the truth. Whatever you do though, stop blaming the voters. This isn't the voters' fault. Over-explaining is often the loudest whisper of doubt. Gunther Eagleman, I was told no one is above the law, but there are still loyalists, still some that are sticking with Donald Trump. Here's Alex Jones blaming the whole mess on the Democrats.
As you know, I just call balls and strikes. And after years of saying they will release the Epstein filer list, suddenly they're not going to, and we're told it doesn't exist. But then Trump comes out last night and says, well, it does exist, but the Democrats had control of it, manipulated it, which is actually true. They've had control, but they would destroy anything they didn't want in there and leave what they wanted in there. And then Trump wants it closed. He wants it shut down, which looks extremely incriminating. But from all of my deep research, never saw Trump involved in any illegal activity with Jeffrey Epstein. So we are simply here tracking this case, not choosing a side, not wanting to make things be what we want them to be, but simply looking at the facts. But I dropped the ball. I didn't even think about the fact. I'm like, oh yeah, if they've had the list and they've had the files for years, the Democrats would take stuff out, destroy it. Well, that's obvious. They would leave in and twist and put in what they wanted.
So Alex Jones has done deep research. Charlie Kirk, meantime, is completely over it, announcing that he will no longer be discussing the Epstein files.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hand. I would love to see the DOJ move to unseal the grand jury testimony. I think that would be a big win. I would love to see that. And I'm going to trust my friends, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, my friend Pam Bondi, all these guys. I'm going to, Todd Blanche, I'm going to trust them to solve it.
And we don't need to know all the details here. Leave it to the people that are duly elected and they'll handle it, the administration. The timing of that statement by Kirk is very interesting. Look at what CNN reported just over the weekend. President called some of the Attorney General's most vocal critics in an effort to stem the bleeding over the Epstein files. 3 sources familiar with the matter told CNN. Trump's calls included one with conservative activist Charlie Kirk on Saturday to express his support for Bondi. And yesterday, Alex Jones stated that Trump world surrogates are threatening to punish influencers for speaking out. Take a look at this.
The attempts by some of Trump world surrogates to reach out to talk show hosts and journalists and influencers and say, hey, your access will be cut off. You'll never be invited to a Trump event again. You'll never be invited to the White House. You'll never be any of this stuff. You're not going to get any conservative sponsorship, no campaign contribution, ads running next cycle if you do this. That's been going on.
So Jen, can Trump and his loyalists get control of this thing through threats, access, pleas, to kind of beat it back and bury it for once and for all?
Yeah, no, I don't think they can. So this is putting 2 different things at play here. So there's so much to talk about. Also, want to comment on a bunch of things Alex Jones just said and Charlie Kirk said. First, though, I'm very curious about this poll. So the show's live 6 to 8 p.m. every day, right? Monday through Friday. And so we're asking, like, if we asked you, will some of MAGA break on this story and oppose Trump? Well, that jury already came in. I mean, if you say, no, nobody in MAGA broke, you're on a different planet. Hope God you have oxygen on that planet. No, MAGA's in full revolt. That's not an open question anymore, right? So that wouldn't be interesting. Now, some on the left have moved the goalposts. No, they have to break away from Trump and then say that they will vote for Kamala Harris next time. Nobody's gonna say that. No, and they have to say that Joe Biden was young and dynamic. No, they're not. Nobody's gonna say that, okay? So like your absurd thing of like, oh, no, I need Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson and all of the MAGA and Trump voters in order for it to count, they have to say, that's it, I will never, ever, ever support Trump again. I will only support Democrats and I'm ready to vote for AOC. No, that's not, I'm not asking that question, that's ludicrous, right? But we are asking this, will MAGA influencers forgive Trump over the Epstein fiasco? And I think that is a good question. Like right now they're super mad, but the influencers, or by the way, I don't even believe the influencers are super mad. The influencers are caught in a way that I'm gonna explain in a second. The base is mad, right? So will the influencers, quote unquote, forgive Trump over Epstein fiasco? And yes is, interesting. Yes is not winning. No is winning. Wow, 45-35, and not sure is at 20. I'm kind of in the not sure camp, but all right. So let's talk about it real quick. So just on Alex Jones, I mean, that was hilarious when he's like, I just call balls and strikes. Yeah, that's what you're known for. I've done deep research on this. Really? Did you go to the CIA? Did you go to Mossad's office? How did you do deep research? What does that mean? I Googled myself online and and I found my older conspiracy theories and I did research on that. So I did deep research. Alex, come on, let it go. All right, I mean, I know your fans believe it, but no one else does. But the only thing funnier was when Charlie Kirk was like,
I trust my friends in the government. Oh, you do? Okay, that's our standard now? Because I remember when Democrats said, no, just trust Biden. And MAGA and Charlie Kirk were like, that makes sense. You just trust the people in the government. I remember them saying that over and over again. Look, here on the Young Turks, we're principled and we hated the trust Biden strategy, and that literally was a strategy that the Democrats insisted on during the votes on the bills, right? It was literally called trust Biden. And here at the Young Turks, we were like, no, we don't trust Biden. And guess what? We were right, okay? And so now Charlie Kirk's saying, don't worry, just trust Trump and government officials. So that's, Sharon, where we get to that conundrum. Because now the right-wing influencers are caught between all of the people like the Trump guys going, you're gonna lose access, you better be a team player. And if you notice, the one thing Alex Jones said that was relevant and sounded true was saying, you're gonna lose the money. You're gonna lose ads on your show, you're gonna lose sponsors. As I was seeing Charlie's panic, meanwhile, he's like ripping into all Muslims, etc. on the other side, and I'm Donnie Terror, parasite. I'm like, this brother's got some serious, let's put it this way, supporters who lean towards Israel, okay? For whatever reason, he's like, no, trust the government, okay, don't question anything, and remember the real problem, Muslims. Okay, now Alex Jones tells me that they're threatening the sponsors of the shows. You put 2 and 2 together, you're gonna come up with 4, okay? But on the other hand, they're also audience captured, and their own right-wing audience is in a fiery rebellion. And any host that goes on there and goes, no, there is nothing to look at here, everything is just fine, like Ben Shapiro did. Like his own audience is like, F you, and the horse you rode in on, or whatever you rode in on. Okay, so Mark Levin, F you. Now Charlie Kirk is beginning to get FUs because this is now, he did it twice. There's another tape of him saying, I'm not taking questions on that. And people are like, oh, now I see what's going on, right? So their own audience is in rebellion and they don't know how to handle it. That's why we started with that Benny Johnson clip of him being like, holy moly, I don't know what to do. So how do I know what they're gonna do if they don't know what they're gonna do? So I'm voting not sure, but they're in trouble, dog. Because, and by the way, of all the things that their audience has ever put pressure on them for, I mean, we kind of got lucky in a sense. This is the one thing their audience is right about, right? So of all the other things that they could put pressure on, and they do, etc., and they can go in the wrong direction, at least on this one, the voters align, right-wing and left-wing voters align, and I love that they're putting pressure on. And by the way, if you're a left-winger, you should also put pressure on left-wing shows, to be honest. Don't let them get away with like, oh, no, it's just Trump, Biden. Like I get this all the time. Why are you even mentioning Biden? I don't know, because he also covered it up for 4 years. So somebody wrote in on Super Chat, Gabe G, should Biden have released the Epstein files when he was in office? Of course. Look, nobody's ever said that Biden was on the list. People are talking about Clinton and Trump as possibilities, but it doesn't matter. Biden didn't release it, no Republican released it, no Democrat released it, and they're not releasing it now. So that's no excuse for Donald Trump. He's president right now. And good news, his side is saying, no, it's no excuse free. Or at least the great majority of his voters are, right? We should also be principled and say Biden, and because it's true, Biden had no excuse not to release those Epstein files, and he didn't release them either. This is the entire American government working against the American people. That's why this story's so big. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.